Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? We got apparently a bad news poll for Alberta independence. We're going to go over that because part of the poll I'm a little bit skeptical of, which I'll get to. But first, we're going to start with this person named Sass Kate, who is just a major B word on X. I won't use the real word because I'm on YouTube here, I guess, but this woman actually sucks. So she's commenting on this a minute long clip, including which includes Mitch Sylvester, which we'll get to. But I mean, this Sass kid, I've seen her call Jasmine Lane here, Canadian Erica Kirk, which is just such a gutless thing to call somebody. Erica Kirk, of course, lost Charlie Kirk, and Jasmine Lane lost her ex-boyfriend. So just a scumbag of a person. There's no other way to argue that. I mean, the Sass Kate, you just suck. You suck so badly. If you're so smart, why don't you make YouTube videos instead of hiding behind posting on X? So let the people know what your real thoughts are. But we're going to get now to this video that she's talking about. She says, yesterday on CBC's Cross Country Checkup, the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project was asked for hard numbers on support for separation and refused to answer. Just give me 1 sec. Is he the... Anyway, I don't even know if that's whatever. Anyway, that's fine. So ignore the internet bravado. If they actually had significant support, you wouldn't have to guess. They'd be shouting from the rooftops. Let's take a look at this. Some interview that features Mitch Sylvester. It's what, a minute 22?
Referendum. He's also the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project.
So he was. I know. I got the titles mixed up. Anyway, we'll go here.
Referendum. He's also the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project, which is an organization that promotes Alberta independence. And we reached him earlier today in Bonnyville, Alberta.
Hey, Bonnyville. Shout out Bonnyville. I played hockey in Bonnyville.
Began collecting signatures in January. You have about 4 months to collect nearly 178,000. What are your numbers right now?
We don't share that information. Actually, we're very...
Look, in my opinion, it is very smart for them not to do that. So you'll see in this interview, I mean, maybe there's strategy behind his answer, but I'll say it. I would not share the numbers if I was in charge of this. I don't know exactly the rules. Like maybe he has to sort of answer that question in an adroit way or whatever, but I'll say it strategically. It makes a ton of sense not to share the numbers. Why would you? Like, it's just the most basic of strategy. If you say, hey, we already passed the number and we still have 3 months to go, do you think that incentivizes more people or less people to sign the petition? So give me a break. It's so obvious.
That information, actually, we're very confident that we will be able to hold the referendum for sure. So actually, those numbers we keep to ourselves, and I think it's actually part of the rules.
Yeah, you know, as a journalist, I'm always interested when people don't give out details that seem so fundamental here, kind of in terms of numbers. Why not give out the numbers?
It's so obvious why they wouldn't give the numbers out. They'll give it out at the end.
Well, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's something for us to use to our advantage, I believe. So let's just say that we've been very, very busy. Our events are very well attended. Last week in...
Yeah, I think this is a great answer by Mitch. It's not about... Yeah, I agree, Justin. I agree. Yes, we sure would. Just like Commie Tommy shouted out his... Yes, we sure would. I don't even know what you're referring to here. Commie Tommy.
Calgary, we had a meeting with 3,700 people sitting in the audience about Alberta.
Is that what they call the forever Canadian guy? Commie Tommy? I don't even know what that...
Independence. And so with 3,700 people sitting in the audience about Alberta independence. And so, you know what, I don't believe we're going to have any problem reaching the 177,000 threshold. So I think that should be answer enough to that question, the referendum.
Totally. I think Mitch handled that answer very well. I think that's basically as good as you can answer that question. And Sass Kate, she's so incorrect here. If they actually had significant support, you wouldn't have to guess. They'd be shouting it from the rooftops. There's obviously significant support. You can just see it. All these long lines all over Alberta. Give me a break. Okay, I see. Yeah. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you. So we'll take a look now at this poll because there was a new Angus Reid survey released. And apparently it shows weak support for separation, but I have at least one part of this survey that raises some alarms to me. So we'll take a look at that. But first, we have a few short clips of the news talking about this survey, although I'm not sure if I'm going to play all of them. We'll just kind of see if they start repeating one another, but we'll take a look here.
New data from the Angus Reid Institute shows opinions aren't shifting much when it comes to Alberta separation. Mason Despatie joins us live. Mason, take us through the numbers.
Well, Jefferson, this poll surveyed close to 1,000 Albertans and found about 3 in 10 would vote to separate if a referendum were held today. Now, among those who would like to leave, whether firmly decided or just leaning, the case for separating is loud and clear for them. That includes breaking free from what they feel are harmful federal policies. And
this is actually the part, I think they're kind of talking about not what is on screen here, but this is the part of the survey that I have questions about, but I will get to that when I just go look at the article itself.
Gaining full control over Alberta's resources. What's not convincing them, though, are warnings about being landlocked or the cost of replacing federal programs, infrastructure, and social services. On the other side, most Albertans say they would vote to stay, and they're far more settled in the decision. They point to Canadian identity, Alberta's place in Confederation, and economic uncertainty as key reasons to remain. But even here, there's tension. So-called lean stay voters agree Alberta gives more than it gets.
So yeah, according to this, it has 57 would definitely vote to stay. 8% would lean voting to stay. So well over 60%. The survey was, I'd say, not huge, right? 979 people. But as you'll see, I do wonder who was asked, because I'll save that for maybe 10 minutes or so when we get to that part of the video.
And many say the argument for full resource control still appeals to them. The personal stake.
A little teaser. It seems to me that maybe the people they asked are pretty radical left.
Are also clear. The 3/4 of Albertans would vote to stay, say they would leave the province of Alberta separated. Fewer than 1/4 say they'd remain in an independent Alberta.
It does give you a clue as to the political potency of this debate. And keep this in mind. It might be 30%.
Well, this guy has humongous TDS. If you ever see this guy on the news, this guy is unbelievable.
Of the general population of Alberta, but it's probably closer to 30% of the general population of Alberta, but it's probably closer to 50% of the voter coalition that Premier Danielle Smith presides over, which means that she has to pay much closer attention to those voices in favor of separatism, much closer attention to their grievances and their concerns. And I think much of that is what's shaping her public posture.
In Jefferson, there's also an anti-separation rally being planned for Edmonton, Calgary, and Red Deer on the 21st. And that'll take place at the City Hall.
Okay, thanks, Mason.
Okay, that'll be interesting to follow. We got another video here. Same topic. They're talking about basically the same poll. And I think I'll play it, but I mean, I think I will play it, but I think I'll get to the entire video as long as it doesn't start kind of repeating what we just heard, but it's about 3 minutes long. Let's take a look.
Reid poll on Alberta separation is being released this morning. New data shows that despite a lot of noise by Alberta separatists wanting to leave Canada, the vast majority of Albertans want to stay. With more, I'm joined now by CTV's Judy.
Yeah, the landlocked argument is crazy. As if people like David Eby in British Columbia aren't already there, and as if there's just already not a ton of resistance to a pipeline as it is. So the landlocked argument, give me a break.
In our bureau this morning, Judy, good morning to you. So tell us about this poll and what you're learning.
Good morning, Marcia. What I can tell you is that despite a lot of media coverage lately in regards to Alberta separatist movement, it appears from this latest data gathered by Angus Reid that the support is wishy-washy and not as strong as the media coverage would indicate. Now, they're definitely...
The other thing about this is the majority of Canada, definitely the liberal media, is very incentivized to shine a light on anything that comes out like this. So there's definitely that. Like, I mean, the trying to shape public opinion, you never know, right?
It is about 3 out of 10 Albertans support the idea of separating from Canada. Now, you will see from this graphic that we're putting up that this support equates to about 29% of Albertans. Of that number, only 8% say they are definitely leaning that way. So it's not bedrock support. And the numbers of Albertans are overwhelmingly in support of staying in Canada. 65% say they would vote to stay, while the majority of that group who...
Yeah, Scott Reid has unhinged takes every single time I see him on TV. Like every time. He was so against people hiking. Remember in the summer in, I believe, Nova Scotia, he was losing his mind at people going for a hike.
Support staying is 57%, Marcia. So you can see from these figures that the number of people who support Alberta separating from Canada is less than a third. And that support is wishy-washy.
So, Judy, what could...
on one poll. And again, I mean, they showed it on screen, actually, the point I want to make, but we'll continue.
This mean for the movement then moving forward? As you point out, there has been a lot of noise. I mean, until we actually see these numbers, I think many people might think the majority of Albertans were ready to separate.
I mean, there was another poll at 41%. I didn't see the media covering that nearly as much as this one.
A lot of this media coverage is driven by the alarming fact that members of the Alberta separatist movement, the leaders, have met with the Trump administration. They've asked reportedly for about $500 billion US to support their movement. So that is an ask that they've made at the top levels of the US administration. So that is what is driving this coverage. But what we can also tell you is that the majority of Albertans disapprove of how Premier Danielle Smith is handling this. You'll recall, Marcia, she actually said the words, she supports a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. Critics have said, what does that mean? How can you say you support Canada when you're laying down the mechanism to separate? So the Alberta separatists, they are in the process of gathering 178,000 signatures. If they can do that by May 2nd, they can lay the groundwork for a referendum on the issue. And so that referendum can happen anytime after October. Marcia.
I mean, we just heard from Mitch at the beginning of the video. I bet you, I mean, I have no knowledge of this, but I would bet they're either at 178 already or about to cross that already. But okay, we have one more video on this same thing. Nearly 1/3 of Albertans would vote or lean toward leaving Canada. Poll, same topic. It's about 1:49. This clip.
A new survey released this morning shows that if a referendum were held today, nearly 1/3 of Albertans would vote or lean toward leaving Canada.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I'll play this clip after we take a look at the poll itself, because the one part of it here, I just truly have a hard time believing it, to be honest, because it seems so absurd. So we covered this already. If the referendum was held today, blah, blah, blah. We already covered that. I'll move this out of the way. Major findings. A majority of Albertans disapprove of how Premier Danielle Smith has handled the issue. 3/4 of stay voters. We'll get to that. I just want to make sure that get to the visual part of that as we scroll down here. On the issue, Carney. Okay, this part, I would say, this isn't the main part I want to cover, but take a look at this. Albertans' net approval, damn it. Albertans' net approval of how the following have approached the issue of separatism in Alberta. Carney +7. So, I mean, already, come on. Is this people in Alberta you're asking? Carney gets a +7 on this one? Who did you ask? Already that sounds like a lot of liberals are being polled. Kenny 3 +3. Thomas Lukasik, apparently Kami Tommy, which I haven't even, that's a pretty funny nickname. Naheed Nenshi +1. Polyev -8. Daniel. So come on. Who are you asking then? This is the entire poll, N979. Albertans' net approval of how the following have approached the issue of separatism in Alberta. Is it just a crazy coincidence that all the liberals have a high approval? And Kenny to me looks like a liberal every single day, more and more. Smith -17. Sylvester -21. Rath -25. I think Jeff Rath is a superstar. So there's that. But then the other part that I want to get to is it was actually showed on screen twice. Okay, this to me is very hard to believe. This is of the people that voted to leave, or that voted that they wanted to stay, rather, in Canada. Suppose Albertans voted to separate from Canada. If that happens, would you stay or move somewhere else? Among those who would vote to stay, N equals 638. So the majority of that poll, maybe 65% roughly, or whatever it was, would move to another province, would move somewhere outside of Canada, would stay in the new independent Alberta. I just don't really buy this. Dude, I move around a decent amount in my life because I'm single and now I'm a YouTuber. My other YouTube channel, I'm basically like a digital nomad, or I'm not right now, but I can be that. So I can move, but the majority of people cannot move so quickly. Would move to it. Like, who was polled here? This sounds very left. Of the people that say they want to stay, apparently 77% of them would ditch Alberta, according to this, if Alberta voted to leave. Most people can't do that. You got a family, you have a job that's tethering you to Alberta. So this part of the poll, to me, brings up some red flags in terms of who was asked. This to me sounds like a pretty radical left person that would say, oh, I'd up and leave if that happened. I don't know if you all feel the same way in the chat about that, but that definitely is the part of the poll I have the hardest time buying. We'll get back to this video now.
Nicole Napa. A new survey released this morning shows that if a referendum were held today, nearly a third of Albertans would vote or lean toward leaving Canada. CTV's Nicole Napa has been going through this Angus Reid survey for us this morning. So, Nicole, when was this all taken?
Kent, it was taken between February 2nd to the 6th, and 979 Albertans were surveyed, with 1 out of 3 Albertans thinking of.
This is a good point, Mike. They do repeat that slogan over and over. I've heard that a ton lately. A sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. They do repeat that constantly on the news.
About or definitely voting to separate. A political analyst believes Ottawa is most certainly paying attention.
I think anyone who assumes that Ottawa is indifferent to the voices of separatists in Alberta are wrong. I think this is a real concern.
Here's a closer look at the results, with 8% saying they would definitely leave. 21% are leaning towards that, while 57% would definitely vote to stay. More than half, 54%, disapprove or strongly disapprove of how Premier Danielle Smith is handling separatism in Alberta, while 44% say they approve how Prime Minister Mark Carney is approaching it. CTV's political analyst says Carney is managing this carefully right now by being open to concerns and responsive, particularly when it comes to energy.
You can even see that in some of the...
Yeah, the Forever Canadian one did get over 400K, and there was not nearly as much buzz around that petition. In terms of media hype, at least, the Independent Alberta petition is crushing that one, certainly in my opinion, but we will see what the raw numbers are at the end.
Political position that the Prime Minister Carney has taken, whether it's an openness to major projects, to energy infrastructure, to working with oil and gas, changing federal mandates and building pipelines. But in many respects, this isn't about public policy. It's about culture.
And Premier Smith has repeatedly
William, maybe,
said she supports a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. The Angus Reid survey has a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. We'll have more on this survey in half an hour. Kent.
Okay, Nicole, thank you.
Okay, that's about it for this video, I think. Let me just double check. Oh, I got one more video here. Do you guys want to rewatch, though? I probably just will do it anyway, but you want to rewatch that Jeff Rath CTV Vashi Kapelos interview, because I was going to just do a separate stream where I just rewatch that video, but maybe I'll just mash into this one, just have it at the end, just a rewatch of that interview, because that interview was the best interview I've seen on Canadian TV, probably ever, but at least in recent memory. This video, though, I'm going to play here is called "Would You Be Upset If Alberta Left Canada?" It's from 7 days ago.
Discussions of Alberta wanting to quit Canada continue to make headlines, including members of the separatist movement meeting with United States officials and rumors of MLAs signing a referendum petition. So Castanet hit the streets to ask people if they would be upset if Alberta left Canada.
I think I would be upset just because I find it weird. Why would they leave Canada? This doesn't make sense to me. And plus, not a whole lot of good things are going on in America that I hear of, so I don't know why they would want to leave Canada.
What does that have to do with America?
No, I wouldn't. I suspect our Prime Minister has ulterior motives, so maybe Canada would be better off having some kind of a better relationship with the U.S.
Hey,
well,
ladies seem pretty based.
I don't think it's right that part of Canada should leave Canada. It just seems strange to me, and that would mean we would have to go through Alberta to get to the other side.
I think this was in Ontario, these people.
There would be more borders. It's ridiculous. And who's behind all this, right?
Yeah, because I visit my family there, and now I got to cross the border. Sorry.
Family lives in Alberta still, and some of them work in the oil fields, and I can understand some of their frustrations, but I personally believe that...
Whatever. We'll rewatch the Rath interview just for fun. I might even do another video on this Rath interview because it's so entertaining, but just for fun. So yeah, if you're still around, that'll be the end of, I guess, the current topics or the breaking news on this story. But if you want to hang around with me and watch the Jeff Rath interview again with Vashi, that's what we're going to do here. Plus, I'll be commenting because I actually have a lot more thoughts on this interview, but we'll take a look at that here. But yeah, if you're going to take off, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, please. But let's take a look here at this Jeff Rath interview one more time. It's 10 minutes long.
Hi,
Enjoy.
Mr. Rath. It's great to meet you. I appreciate you making the time
Well, I
today.
really appreciate you having me on today. Thank you.
I listened to some of the interviews you've given to other media this week, and you were disputing the reporting that garnered all that reaction from the premiers. And I wanted to actually just get you on the record.
Oh, sure.
So we can
the
clarify.
Financial Times piece, I'll say for the record, it was fake news. I'm very careful with anybody to say that we haven't been offered any money by the United States. We're not seeking money from the United States. We're conducting a feasibility study on the availability of a sufficient credit facility to get Alberta over the hump in the hypothetical eventuality that Ottawa is going to play hardball and try to cut off our money once Alberta declares itself independent from Canada. So, that FT article, starts out covert meetings between U.S. officials and fringe separatists. It was ridiculous. It was just a hit piece, by the, globalist media. I'm really disappointed in the FT, actually. I used to read it when I was going to law school in London, and the paper's really gone downhill if that's the kind of trash they're publishing.
So what I had noticed when I read it was that I had read other reporting previously that you had made trips to the United States. So
there's no doubt.
Hey, chat, what do you think about Jeff Rath as a spokesperson for the Alberta independence movement? Because I've seen some people say, oh, he's bombastic, stuff like that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, because I'm maybe biased because I like this type of television, but I think this works. I think Jeff Rath's style in 2026 and sort of the new age world of the internet, just the internet, I would say, this type of stuff breaks through the noise. It makes people want to watch. I think this is very important for a movement, but I will admit that I'm biased. It's just that I actually think I'm biased because I think it works. Like, Trump is the ultimate example of this, right? But even take Trump out of it, I would say the liberals in 2025 did a good job of doing the elbows up crap, and it gets lots of attention, makes people pay attention, and then, oh, wow, maybe I'm just going to vote Mark Carney because I'm into this whole elbows up crap. I even think Justin Trudeau did this kind of effectively because he just ramped up the divisiveness, and it's cynical, but I'm not saying this is what Jeff Rath is doing, but Trudeau goes, the climate, it's an emergency, LGBT people, we're a diverse country, stuff like that. I think it works, as opposed to Aaron O'Toole, remember in 2021, just so boring, just the most boring milquetoast answers. They still tried to compare him to Donald Trump, by the way, but I definitely think having a lot of charisma on television is such an advantage for a political movement. But I don't know, let me know in the comments if you agree with that or not, because I know some people in Canada do not agree with that.
Yeah,
there's no doubt we're making.
Can you
trips
just
to the United
explain
States.
what you are doing?
We've held press conferences to tell people that we're going to the United States. We're exchanging information with senior officials in the U.S. State Department over the aspirations of Alberta for Albertans for independence, and talking to them about the types of things that would help Alberta move forward as a free and independent country. And it's already paying dividends. I mean, we had Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, the second most powerful man in the world, repeating what we told the State Department officials back in December, that aspirationally Alberta would love to have a pipeline through the U.S. Pacific Northwest to the West Coast, because we're sick and tired of David Eby threatening us with a veto and saying we're only getting a pipeline over his dead body and all of the foolishness that comes out of his mouth. And of course, the reaction to that from David Eby, when he saw that his power was being taken away and that he no longer had power, he was no longer going to have power to constrain oil and gas development in Alberta on behalf of his communist masters in China, right, was to jump up and down and have a hysterical little hissy fit and say that, you know, we're engaged in treason and that real Albertans don't support independence. I mean, it was the most ridiculous display of on behalf of a premier that I've ever seen. He should be embarrassed, really.
If we take David Eby out of the equation
Sure.
for a second, can you understand how on the face of it, Canadians would view, some Canadians outside of the ones that support your cause, who are not necessarily unempathetic to the frustrations expressed by people in this province, but who would view the idea of, people here meeting with a government that has.
I want to take a look at this classic clip here from Don Cherry, because he kind of makes the point I just made, but this is an old clip.
They're ticked off. They're ticked off, and I try to tell you this, they're ticked off at the foreigners coming over here earning the dough. This is what I hear from.
Are you a safety valve for people who are stewing about all kinds of stuff, or are you dangerous?
I don't know whether I'm dangerous. I just say what I think, and it's the way I think. You can say it's bigotry if you want. I don't think it is. I'm pro-Canadian, more so than I'm anti-Soviet or anti-Swede. I wish more Canadians were like me.
Where is it going to end if we get into that kind of politics?
We let people come in and take our fish, and the people are
And Don Cherry should have been prime minister.
starving down there. The people come in and wreck everything on us. They come in, and it wouldn't happen if I was in Parliament.
There's not a party in Canada would take you today.
I've been
with
asked
what
by
you're talking
two.
about and what you
I've been asked by two.
Which ones?
Liberal and conservative.
And they want Don Cherry in there talking about
Especially the
complaining
conservative.
about the immigrants.
They want people that people like on TV. How could you not like me on TV if you're a Canadian? Good old boy.
That's so true. I firmly believe this is how you win in politics today. Even, I guess, back then, Don Cherry probably was correct, but it's maybe not even a good sign. Maybe you could argue in an ideal world, it'd be more about just policy, but I actually believe charisma on television is how you win elections. Of course, everything else matters. You have to have a great policy as well, but you got to break through, I think.
What by talking about and what you. I've been asked.
Because you got to get to like the quote unquote normies that aren't that interested in politics. And I don't think you're going to get there with wonky political debates. I mean, you see that a lot in America. Trump is the ultimate example, but it's just one person. But I even think Trudeau broke through on this by basically appealing to the sort of lefty normies that are all about diversity and climate change and all the garbage.
And wreck everything on us. They come in, and it wouldn't happen if I was in Parliament.
There's not a party in Canada would take you today.
I've been asked by
talking about and what you.
I've been asked by two.
Which ones?
Liberal and conservative.
And they want Don Cherry in there talking about
Especially the
complaining
conservative.
about the immigrants.
They want people that people like on TV. How could you not like me on TV if you're a Canadian? Good old boy like me.
Okay, I'll get back to this and I'll read some of the chats here.
You know, spoken the way it has about this country as a whole as problematic
Jeff Rath kind of looks like Don Cherry.
and seeking money to make this happen.
I understand that there's a lot of Ontarians and people in Quebec that suffer deeply from Trump derangement syndrome, but we're not doing anything untoward. It's absolutely, from our perspective, we're just conducting due diligence on behalf of our fellow Albertans. We're serious professionals. I mean, I've argued cases at the Supreme Court of Canada, for goodness sake. I mean, we take what we're doing very seriously, and obviously the attitude of the United States towards Alberta independence, which incidentally is overwhelmingly enthusiastic, is something that informs our movement going forward. If the United States said, oh God, we can't tolerate that, flies in the face.
Wow, Ethan, that's amazing, really. Huh, very interesting.
So, the communist New World Order, we'll slap a 300% tariff on Albertans if they leave because we want.
David, are you forever Canadian? Holding on to nostalgia to stay oppressed. From David F. If you want, David, you can come into the chat or come onto the stream rather and share your point of view if you want with me in the chat about why people are staying oppressed. The link is right there if you want to hop on stream.
Want you to remain resource slaves of the communist government in Ottawa, it would be a totally different conversation. But that's not the case. We're gratified that it's the case. And quite frankly, the Trump administration shows Albertans far more respect than is shown to Albertans by the government in Ottawa. Do you think three of us could get a meeting with Tim Hodgson to talk about the need for a pipeline to the Pacific Northwest so that David Eby can't continue to hold us hostage? Of course not, because they want us to be held hostage.
I like these guys too.
So, so I understand that there are Canadians that are upset, especially in Ontario, that when Alberta leaves, that Ontarians for the first time in their lives are going to have to pay their own bills and pay the bills of the Maritimes that we've been paying for years. I understand that's upset.
To me, Jeff Rath has the style, in reverse, how the mainstream media is in Canada. I think I've made this point a bunch, so I'm not going to go into it long here, but I think the media in Canada is relentless about pushing conservatives back. They just keep doing that. Someone eventually has to stand up to this. I think the Conservative Party of Canada, to a large extent, has kind of become a punching bag, and it sucks. I will say, I saw one thing today from Poilievre. I'll give him credit. He had a good post on social media today.
To people, but they need to understand that Albertans are done. We're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
Do you believe though that the motivations of the people you're meeting with or in the Trump administration are altruistic? Like, do you think they want what's good for you and people who support your cause, or do you think that they're trying to leverage this to get the upper hand against the country of Canada?
This one from Poilievre, I think, was a good post today. If non-citizens and I know my face is in the way, just one sec. Non-citizens and asylum claimants choose to violate the trust of Canadians by committing extortion and other serious crimes, they must be forced to leave our country. I think that's a very great post. And the part I like about it is it seems like Poilievre is willing to get in the arena more with a post like this, because obviously a lot of people will not like that, but I felt for quite some time Poilievre has kind of taken a back seat. So this will probably ruffle some feathers, which I think just you have to do that if you want to win, in my opinion.
Policy at the university level. I have an honors degree in political science and I have an honors degree in law from the London School of Economics. Don't you think that communist Ottawa is leveraging communist China against Alberta? I mean, come on. I mean, you know, we live in the world of realpolitik.
But you don't
right?
mind being a pawn in that
We're
fight?
not a pawn. I mean, we're talking to them about our aspirations and we have our goals and objectives. So, you know, we're not a pawn. We're actually more like a rook or a queen on a chessboard moving forward in the direction that we want to move freely on the board. You know, the pawns are the provincial premiers like Danielle Smith that are being manipulated by Carney and Eby and communist China to do their globalist bidding. You know, as far as I'm concerned.
When you mentioned that you've met with people in the State Department, you feel as though that message has been conveyed to Scott Bessent. That's why he made the comments he did. How high up are the meetings that you're taking? Are there names, for example, of people that you're meeting with that we would recognize offhand?
I'm not sure about that. Probably. I mean, we're meeting at a very high level. People in our meetings are going, you know, direct.
Stephen Miller?
I'm not going to say. I mean,
Why not?
We're not, because we're not. We have an agreement with the people that we're meeting with that we're not disclosing the identities of the people that we're meeting with. So
why not, man?
Yeah, this is interesting, Lata Sham. I do agree. The other CTV interview, Jeff wasn't combative at all. I also think the interviewer was mostly respectful with those questions. I'm actually fine, by the way, with Vashi in this interview, except for the end where we'll get to that. I remember at the end, she's going on about, but is it truly independent if you still trade with America? But whatever. I'm fine with an interviewer sort of teeing up the person or being a little bit antagonistic because it can kind of get the best argument out of somebody. But yeah, this is a good point. In the other interview, Jeff was more chill, I would say.
well, because it's an agreement. So that's all.
But again, like,
yeah, this I agree with James.
Would it be reasonable to question the motivations of making that?
Well, that's probably why we're not talking about it. We don't want them being bothered by people from the press in Canada asking them silly questions. They don't want to be wasting their time answering questions from the press, right? And we're fine with that. We don't care. I mean, we know already that our meetings are paying dividends when the U.S. Secretary of Treasury is announcing the fact that the U.S. would be open to a pipeline through the Pacific Northwest to take David Eby and Communist China out of control of the Alberta oil field.
May I ask then, in a different way, have there been conversations, you know, among yourself or people in the movement with, for example, as high as President Trump?
No. Well, I mean, I haven't. I'm not sure about David Cameron. He's not really part of our movement and part of what we're doing. He's the leader of the Republican Party of Alberta. He claims to have been to Mar-a-Lago and, you know, whatever. You know, we don't need to meet with President Trump. We're really technicians when it comes right down to it, right? At the end of the day, you know, our next delegation to Washington, you know, we're going to have bankers, economists, corporate lawyers, et cetera, to help with this feasibility study that we're conducting, right? And we're going to be putting together, you know, what a potential deal memo could look like and put together a complete dossier so that we can just hand it over to whoever the government of Alberta is in power and say, hey, if Ottawa is giving you a hard time, here's an easy way out. There's a large credit facility that's available through Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or whoever in the event that Ottawa tries to cut off your money.
On the question of feasibility and the situation that you just lay out, what does it say that if you are preparing for Ottawa, as you characterize it, to play hardball, that you would then lean on credit or whatever it ends up being from the United States? Like, to the people who support your movement, are you not kind of moving from one master to another?
The entire world runs on credit. How much does Canada rely on the United States? If Secretary of Treasury so what? If
Castro's kid.
Secretary Bessent wanted to end Canada tomorrow, it would take one memo to all of the bond rating agencies, Moody's, Standard and Fitch, and Poor's, to say that Canada's a poor risk because of all the various things that the United States is going to do with Canadian credit, and Canada would be over. So Canada is being supported by the United States.
Yeah, I think Jeff is a great mix of charismatic and smart, and obviously understands finance to some degree. I mean, probably to a huge degree. I don't know, but I've heard him talk quite well on financial topics, law. I don't know too much about that world, about the world. I think he's a lawyer. He said he was. Yeah, he's argued cases at the Supreme Court. So I think he's a pretty well-rounded spokesperson. But of course, other people, Keith Wilson, I've heard very smart. Mitch Sylvester, very smart.
So just stop with the silliness and trying to create this conflation somehow or other between the Alberta independence movement and being beholden to the United States. I know it's a fear-mongering talking point of the mainstream media with regard to Alberta independence, but we're not buying into it. It's ridiculous.
Well, let me respectfully, if you don't mind, challenge you and just ask. Look at what happened based on the scenario you just have outlined. Because of our dependence on the United States, look at what they're able to exact right now. What you are telling your supporters, with great respect, is that you will be independent. You will be free of the suppression.
Yeah, this part of the interview really doesn't make any sense. And Jeff does a fantastic way of being like, what are you talking about? Independent? Like Alberta is just going to levitate up into the atmosphere.
Nobody's independent in the modern world. But do you think that we would be running to communist China the way that Mark Carney is? Mark Carney's making Canada dependent on communist China. And to quote a good friend of mine, David Redmond, who's one of the best, North American defense analysts going, David Redmond stated clearly on a policy panel, just 2 weeks ago, communist China is not a trading partner. They are an enemy. So you want to talk about treasonous, swearing allegiance to communist China in Beijing while invoking the New World Order, and then coming back to Canada, threatening war with the United States of America under Article 5 of the NATO treaty certainly smacks as being a lot more treasonous than anything that we're doing.
And I have to say, I have interviewed at least 5 ministers from the government in the last 2 weeks since that China trip and pressed them very hard on exactly what you're laying out. Is this really the kind of partnership that we want to align ourselves with?
I'm also streaming on Twitch and Kick, if you ever heard of those websites. And really the only messages I get so far on those two platforms are trying to get me, it sounds like, to buy view bots. So like it'll look like I have 2,000 live viewers, but maybe there's only 100. I think you can buy fake viewers, which is quite funny. I don't really know if it even helps you on YouTube, but I think on Kick and Twitch, it just makes you look more popular, which is pretty funny.
Understand the point you're making. My point is you have convinced people, and lots of them who have stopped me here, that what awaits a separate and free and independent Alberta is true independence.
No, there's no such thing as true independence.
Do you think your supporters understand that?
Yeah, William, I hear you. Stephen Crowder made that point very well in that last video he did a few days ago on Alberta independence.
Interrupting for a second.
I'm just asking.
90% of our trade is north and south with the United States of America. So all of this phony, we hate the Americans, Canadians should be afraid of Americans, Alberta must be completely independent from the United States of America. We don't live in a vacuum. So even the premise of your question, quite frankly, and with respect, is quite silly.
So you basically don't envision.
Man, I've already seen this interview. I think this is my third time watching it. It's still funny.
For example, ever being like truly free of the United States, even if the administration switches.
The premise of your question,
a Democrat could be elected after President Trump.
The premise of your question is completely silly. Nobody ever envisions a day where the Alberta economy is completely decoupled from the economy of the United States of America. 90% of our trade is north and south. So that's not going to change if a Democrat gets elected. All of our relationships, business relationships, familial relationships, etc., will remain. That doesn't make us less independent. I mean, the premise of your question, again, with respect, is quite silly.
I'll take it. That's okay. I'll leave it on that note.
And then smiles. Let's go.
But for now, we're going to.
Okay. Well, let's just do a little bit of a longer stream here. This is fun. I'm going to just take a look at some other videos here. This is just a podcast, I think, so it's probably kind of boring. But we'll take a look at this dude talking to Albertans. Shout out to him. This guy's still crushing it, putting out a ton of content. Let's take a look at some of his interactions on the street. Let's see first shorts. Let's see if we can look some. Now we'll just take a look at the video itself. But I'm just going to kind of go towards the more interesting moments, or if I can find them. Let's start with this one.
Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel.
Shout out to John. By the way, I've seen him in my comment section saying hello. So shout out to John. Let's see if we can find some moments of him talking to people. Here we go. Because the video he did, my favorite video so far, is on White Avenue. He had some crazy interactions with people in Edmonton.
So, hey, how's it going?
We are collecting signatures in here.
Okay.
5 o'clock, so keep walking.
Okay. Well, can I actually ask you a few questions? I'm making a YouTube video.
Oh,
Are you the business owner?
Just hang on.
Hey, send a few people out. I knew that would get a good reaction. Sorry for trying to stall there for a while, trying to get my thoughts. Okay.
Now, what does everyone in the chat think about Pierre Poilievre? Because I want to like him. I just, at the moment, I'm pretty negative on him, but I want to like him, but holy crap, man. I feel like if Poilievre would just be himself, I think I'd like him more. This is just my guess. He seems to continually kind of pivot to being more of a liberal light, like Mike here says, but oh man, I don't know. Like that post he had today, I really think is great. It's just tough.
Hey. Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good, how's it going for you?
Good.
Good.
My name's John. I'm a YouTuber.
Oh, John, okay, good. Where are you from, John?
From Alberta.
From Alberta.
I don't want to
PBE, this is fair. It's fair for you to say that.
say because people are crazy on the internet.
Oh, yeah, I know. Definitely. So that's great. So,
You're collecting signatures here. That's awesome.
well, we've allowed the people who are working on the petition or whatever to come on in and post here.
Yeah, I think this is what Pierre does too much. Looks around. What do people think? It more seems Pierre cares about the opinion of consultants or something. I don't even think it's the opinion of the people. I don't know.
Okay, hey, that's awesome.
Like, I think if Pierre listened to the pleb reporter, he would go up in the polls. I think the pleb, of all the people that are like hugely in Pierre's corner, I think he should just listen to the pleb.
I was just walking by. I saw the big Alberta flag.
Yeah, it's rough, eh? We got to get a new one. Get a new one.
You know, there's some symbolism to having a flag that just gets roughed up
yeah,
too.
that's right.
It's been through quite a bit.
It has been.
How long has it been up there for?
You know what? We put it up during COVID.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were a little disillusioned with things the way they were going, and we.
Yeah, PBE, you're totally right. I talk about this all the time, even off stream. I talk about this. America has such a better culture of pushing back against everything they don't like. Even if I'm not even saying the right wing is correct 100% of the time, but the American right wing always makes their voices known. And I think that does not happen as much in Canada. There's a lot of, I don't want to look mean, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah.
They were trying to make a stand.
I think the American culture of free speech is a lot. Sadly, I think it's a lot better right now than in Canada. Hopefully, Canada can get that back.
People have to be strong and stand up and do what's right. So, yeah.
So, did you put a Canadian flag up too?
We did. We had a Canadian flag up.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And mainly because it was a little bit more beaten up than that one. So we thought it was with respect. We took it down. You know what I mean? We took it down. So,
You know, I would never disrespect the Canadian flag. I mean, is it the time?
Yeah, this is very smart to do. Just record it. So you basically force them to, or at least incentivize them to actually release an unedited version.
Take it down, I think.
You know what? We love Canada. Like we absolutely do. We love our country.
It does sound good. Republic of Alberta. It does sound nice.
Just unfortunately just are a little disillusioned with the way it's being governed, and it's not right. It's not right for anybody, no matter where you live in our country. We have such a rich country. We have so much to offer the world, and it's just unfortunate that we're being pulled in 15 different directions, and we forget why we came to be in the first place. You know, and you know, I love our national anthem. You know, God keep our land. And you know, glorious and free, and the true north, strong and free. So you know, and I love all that about Canada, and I really am saddened. I think sometimes when people think like Albertans are trying to tear Canada apart. No, we're trying to remind the rest of Canada what Canada is all about, and we ask you to join us, and let's pull back, let's bring back, let's be strong and free. Let's really, you know,
based woman. I wonder if he's confronted a hater lately. I haven't seen a clip, I don't think, of him confronting any haters. Let's take a look at this one here.
Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here in front of Rogers Place in Edmonton, standing with my big, blue, beautiful Alberta flag, showing my support for Alberta independence. In my last video, things got cut short because the police let me know the sidewalk directly in front of the arena is actually private property. And they asked me to move to the other side of the street. I respected that and cordially obliged. I was originally going to tack this part of the video onto the end of the previous video, but I decided to make it its own because, well, it's interesting on its own. You'll see why. Hey, Alberta Independence. Good. I'm making a YouTube video. Can I ask you guys some questions?
Okay, this might be good. Here we go.
Oh, okay. You guys are canvassing. Okay, I won't put you in the film then. You're not canvassing, are you?
Can we ask each other some questions?
Yeah, as long as I can point the camera back at you.
Yeah, totally.
Let's go. I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Let me get over here so it's out of the foot
You
trap.
got the same thing. The gimbal.
What's up, man? My name's Henry.
My name's John.
Hey,
I'm just a
John.
YouTuber. Who are you guys with?
Independent filmmakers. We're putting together a. Actually, here, can you just come a little more over here so I can get this? Is that cool if I put this
Hey,
here?
do you think these guys are going to be pro Alberta independence or anti, or just actually neutral? What do you think?
Yeah.
Great. Putting someone from New York on their behalf. We're just getting some preliminary info about the Alberta separation movement. So we're just trying to get thoughts from the people actually in the movement instead of, the narratives we'll hear from media or anything like that. So
I mean, if you're from New York, I have to assume you're against the idea of independent Alberta, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're whatever, truly neutral or pro.
where are you from, John?
I am from Alberta. I'm not going to dox myself exactly.
No, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and where are you at in terms of this separatist movement? Are you you just want? Yeah, tell me about what Alberta separating means to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% in. And for me, I'm more of a philosophical kind of person when it comes to this. I look at the opportunity to actually form a country with a constitution that guarantees freedoms, rights. Like in Canada right now, all we have are privileges. The first clause of the Constitution basically gives the government the right to take away all of our other rights if they deem necessary. And I'm like an idealist in that sense. I want to have a country and we can create from the bottom up something that actually guarantees freedom. So there, a lot of other Albertans would probably say something about the economy or something about how much they hate Trudeau, but or Carney or whatever. But.
Yeah, and when you think about Canada separating, or
He told you this to your face. Pierre's a little B. Told me to my face he can't do anything until he is PM. So essentially admitted to being useless. That's so funny. Where did you meet him, Prime Morris? Where'd you? That's a good story.
Sorry, Alberta separating. Is it its own country? Do you have interest in it joining America?
No, I think there's 5%, maybe 3% in this movement who seriously want to join the States. And, good on them. They can have their opinions. And I love America. It's just, I think Alberta would be better off as a sovereign, independent country.
Yeah.
We are culturally aligned with the Americans. We'll be excellent trading partners.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like many people are a big fan of Polyev.
We'll do lots of good things together, but on our own, it's why would I support leaving Ottawa when we could just jump in bed with Washington? That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Okay.
Philosophically, I think the government is better. People are better served by the government if it's closer to where they live.
Sure.
Right, closer. If you can decide something municipally, decide municipally. Don't go up to the provincial or federal. Keep government closer to the people.
Okay.
It's a general principle.
Okay. And what do you make of when people say the pushback of the Indigenous population or treaty relations? How do you navigate that?
So, I mean, I only see upside, and I don't want to put words into anybody's mouth. I don't speak for Indigenous people, but they have three options the way I see it. They can stay with Canada, even if Alberta separates. They can stay with Canada, keep their exact deals. Nobody's going to change that. Or they could transfer the deals, the treaties to Alberta. So it's basically the same thing, both 1 and 2. Or completely renegotiate it.
How would they stay in Canada? Would they have to move to another province?
Oh, no, I mean, I'm conceptually thinking that it's the treaty lands would just be kind of woven into, or, excluded from and be federal properties. Because right now, they're not, Indigenous people under the treaties don't actually own their land. It's owned by the Crown. Right. And so it's held basically in trust. So it'd be okay, just keep that same deal. But with Alberta independence, they can renegotiate something better, something fair. I ask people, what do you think But why do you think staying in Canada is going to improve things? Hey, God bless you.
And
You
why
know?
do you? So when you talk about freedom,
Man, John crushed that question. That was amazing. Props to John. That was a great answer to that question. I think he handled that 10 out of 10.
what are some things that you feel are like a freedoms that you don't have now that you think you'd gain with Alberta being its own country?
Right. So like freedom of speech. Okay. So yeah, in Canada we have freedom or the right to free speech, right? Except when the government doesn't want us to have that right. And COVID is like the textbook example. They took away our right to free speech. They censored the internet. I mean, this happened all over the world, right? But you saw the pushback in the United States. Places caught on right away. They're like, hey, the government's censoring it.
Yeah, Mr. Carter, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I don't know if you followed my recent videos, but I am no fan of the CPC.
They pushed
I
back.
think the video I posted maybe 3 videos ago is the CPC is a pathetic joke. I think that's the exact title. So I hear you.
And it's like now there's some accountability, maybe. Okay. Right. So, but I want the right to be able to speak freely.
Sorry, PBE. I said maybe, yeah, but you're cool. You're the coolest NYC guy. I love New York City. I was there, I guess 10 years ago now, 2016. It's amazing. I was at a conference at the same place where Trump gave his first victory speech in 2016. I was there maybe 5 months before he gave that speech in the downtown Hilton. Yeah, the last election, New York State wasn't even that Democrat. I think it was under 60% Democrat, if I'm remembering that correctly. And so Trump made a lot of gains in New York State in 24.
Is it good or bad? We don't need a right like that when times are good. We only need it when it's bad. And during COVID, that was a good example of when we needed free speech. Just as one example.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Okay. And now, so you
Really? Wow. Prime Morris. That's amazing. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That's brutal.
It's a lot of the freedom you're talking about is freedom of speech. Are there any other kinds?
Well, okay, with free speech right now, I think there's a bill of C9, C11.
The CPC again was terrible on COVID.
There's so many C's,
Right.
They want to
hate speech?
Yeah, the hate speech laws. Hate speech is like such a dumb thing to say. Who decides what's hateful? You know?
Right.
Like, okay, the only hindrance we should have to free speech is you can't incite violence. Which by the way,
Sure.
EB is calling us traitors. He's actually inciting violence against independent supporters. People are going to start
And he's so right.
taking that to the law.
Canada, we do not want to get to UK levels of hate speech.
Logical conclusion and committing violence. I'm afraid of that.
Right.
So that's the only limit I would say is EB, you can't be a liar and call us traitors when we're objectively not. Legally, Canadian separatists in Quebec, we're not traitors. We're not traitors either. We're following a peaceful democratic process.
So do you agree or disagree with the sentiment if, say, like a conservative Albertan would call, say, someone like Mark Carney a traitor, treasonous? Was that okay or no?
Okay, so there's a difference in degree when it's like the premier of a province on national television, or it's a bunch of dudes sitting around like we are right now on the side of the street.
Right.
I might call Trudeau a traitor because of all the ethics violations. Definitionally, I can agree that that's not exactly the same thing.
Sure.
Although I do want consequences, like if he broke the law. So, I'll admit that there's kind of two ways people use it, colloquially or like literally like in the definition of the law.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can be reasonable about that.
No, totally. And that's that's like a main point of what the goal of this is, to actually hear from the people themselves instead of assigning the intent of this is what you mean by what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I think just having civil discourse probably goes a long way, whether you're a separatist or you want Alberta to stay, right?
Yeah.
You agree that just having the dialogue actually on an individual basis could be really helpful?
Like 100%. And this is what I'm doing right now, having a dialogue.
Yeah.
Meeting random people. I never know what I'm going to expect. If people are going to like attack me, like I haven't. Actually, one lady did assault me. Definitely. I don't want to go into that though.
Sure.
But out here, this is where democracy happens. On the street, people share their opinions.
Yeah.
And we all still have to get along.
Power to the people, man.
Yeah.
I'm all for power to the people. And yeah, just to be transparent, I'm trying to gather information off the cuff. So I lived in the States for a few years.
Yeah,
and now
so
I'm
did I,
actually. Oh, what part of the States you live in?
I lived in North Dakota and I lived in
gorgeous.
Michigan. Yeah.
Paradise of the prairies. Yeah. I lived in the Midwest a little bit, and I lived on both coasts.
Yeah.
And I'm much more for Alberta staying in Canada. But again, we're allowed to have disagreements, right?
Absolutely.
And a civil discourse.
And it's a democracy. Like, this is a peaceful process. I hope to persuade you. You hope to persuade me.
Hey, I mean, I'm not going to accuse this guy of anything because this has been a fascinating and I say respectful conversation. As long as it gets chopped up in the edit like this, because places like Vice, I mean, again, I'm not saying this guy is going to do that because obviously innocent until proven guilty, but a lot of times these left-wing films, they bait people into this. And then in the edit, it's just a crazy hit piece. But again, I'll give this guy obviously the benefit of the doubt, but that has happened so many times. I've seen left-wing channels will chop things up and make everything seem as it's not. The Daily Show does that a lot. Yeah, Vice. I don't even know if Vice is still around anymore, but they definitely do that.
Yeah, I think there's a level of hope to persuade, but also I personally hope there's just more of a peaceful coexistence, and I think there actually is, but whether we agree politically or not, that's okay, because that's, like you said, that's part of freedom and part of democracy. I guess one of my questions is with freedom of speech.
Yeah, but it's all one way, man. Ottawa gets way better of a deal right now in how they deal with Alberta, so it's totally unfair.
Okay.
Like, really, what do you feel like you can't say right now? Like, what are some things that you're not allowed to say that freedom of speech is impeding on?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you asked, what do you think I can't say?
Yeah.
Well, right now, I think I can still say a lot, but these hate speech.
You can't say certain. Remember Jordan Peterson about the he, she, the pronoun stuff, and I think the issue in Canada is we do not want to keep creeping towards UK style censorship, Europe style censorship. I think the other problem in Canada is there is still a left-wing dominant culture. So I feel like I can pretty much say whatever I want on YouTube, but I do YouTube videos, so it doesn't matter as much. I feel for the people that probably are watching this or whatever, who you have a boss or you work at any company with any government contract, or even if you don't, if you just work at any company and you're on the internet having right-wing point of views. I know I sometimes bash the large X accounts in Canada that are anonymous because I'm like, dude, why don't you just not be anonymous? On some level, I get it too, because like accounts like this, Table Salt, maybe if he showed his real face, his employer would have a problem with this. Because I definitely do think the dominant culture in Canada is still very left. So maybe legally you would not be in trouble. I mean, I don't know if you worked for maybe a large telecom company in Canada or a large, I don't know the exact policy. Maybe you wouldn't feel that comfortable sharing your right-wing point of view online. I definitely think, America seems way more balanced. There's a lot of left-wing voices and a lot of right-wing voices. In Canada, there's a lot of left-wing voices, and then there's maybe 15 right-wing YouTube channels. But aside from that, a lot of anonymous accounts, stuff like that.
Laws that are coming out are pretty much going to limit a lot of things. And so the way it was explained to me is that the Bible has some things that say, they're anti-LGBTQ. Okay.
Sure.
And so a lot of people are offended by what the Bible says that, about gay people.
Sure.
And whatever your opinion is, I'm just using this as an example.
That's cool, William. Very cool.
Right. And so currently we have, the freedom of religion defense. You can say, hey, this is my sincerely held religious belief. And you can say whatever you want to say about your religious beliefs. But if this all passes with this hate speech law, then they're going to limit that. And it's like, okay, that is a first step, because once we start deciding who what is hateful, Like,
Right.
where does that lead to? It literally is a slippery slope.
So it sounds like very much like the fundamental conservative. You're trying to avoid government overreach. You don't want them to be able to sign. I'm curious what your thoughts are. And devil's advocate to a degree. What are your thoughts with? Are you a UCP supporter? I don't want to just assume.
Well, fair enough. I think I did vote for my UCP person last time. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm a bit of a rhinoceros because I supported Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
I want to understand what kind of a challenge do you foresee for the government in trying to get that MOU passed?
Take a look at this here. Mark Miller, we'll get back to John, says people should not be using religion to justify committing hate crimes 2 months ago.
With any consent from any Indigenous.
Well, again, they got to sit down and start working now. If everyone thought Thursday was difficult, that was probably the easiest day in the life of that pipeline.
The Conservatives are calling
In the past, you said you weren't sure there's a decline of French. Can you clarify your thinking? Do you think there's a decline of French in Quebec, and how do you qualify that decline? Look, what I said, Hélène, is that French is fragile everywhere in North America. There is a decline in Quebec. It's always threatened. That is important to remove religious exemptions from the hate speech on Quebec, but also outside of Quebec, because French is not only spoken in French.
What do you make of the reports that your government is making an agreement with the Bloc to remove religious exemptions from the hate speech laws to pass Bill C-9? You're the chair of the Justice Committee.
Right.
Is that happening?
Well, I had to question myself. Look, I'm a person of faith. I'm Christian. I have very, very deep beliefs. The reality is I don't think people should be using the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah to escape from committing a hate crime or claim that the hate, what would otherwise be a hate crime, is done in the name of a religious text. You can look at the religious texts yourself and see what they mean, but the reality is that there is an exception in the criminal code that are making people hesitate. And when the conservatives come out and pretend that they are defending freedom of expression, they're defending people like Adel Shakari.
Other passages, there's clear hatred towards, for example, homosexuals. I don't understand how the concept of good faith could be invoked if someone were literally invoking a passage from, in this case, the Bible, but there are other religious texts that say the same thing, and somehow say that this is good faith. I mean, clearly there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful. They should not be used to invoke or be a defense, and there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. I just want to understand what your notion of good faith is in this context, where there are clearly passages in religious texts that are clearly hateful.
They want to ban reading the Bible in Canada.
Let's go, Alex Jones. I didn't even know this was an InfoWars clip. That is crazy, man. The hateful and how do you interpret which one is hateful and which one isn't? Is it just going to all be about LGBT?
But I didn't vote for him. I'll straight up admit this. I voted for the PPC.
Yeah.
I've been against the federal system in Canada for so long, and I just feel like no matter who gets in there, the PPC, CPC, whatever, they're all going to be the same.
Look, I don't want to talk about federal politics right now either, but I think there are a bunch of people that Poilievre alienates by not being actually conservative. Again, that's a topic for another video, I guess, but I think he loses so many more people in his what could be his base by pandering to the middle, but I'll leave that for now.
Yeah.
I've been against the federal system in Canada for so long, and I just feel like no matter who gets in there, the PPC, CPC, whatever, they're all going to be the same. The system is the problem. It's the rules that they play by is the problem. And none of them can change the rules. That's why I'm like, the only way to fix this is for Alberta just to go clean the slate. It's like the ultimate cheat code if you're playing a video game. Like, just clear the game, start over.
I wonder a lot.
Yeah, they did, Sean. They even seized the accounts of people that donated to truckers. I will double check that. They froze your accounts? Sick, Vis? That's brutal. Jeez.
About one of my worries, I guess, and I'm curious if it resonates with you, is you look at what just happened with Venezuela. And if we're a new vulnerable country that's rich in oil and U.S. interference. Does that worry you at all?
So actually, I know a lot about Venezuela. I got family in Venezuela, and I'll tell you, they are all cheering and crying and cheering and crying. They were so thrilled when Trump took out Maduro. It was like they. I know people who are begging for it to happen, and when it finally, so first of all, like
not all,
you know, the only people supporting Maduro are the ones getting paid or like living in fear. Literally, the whole country hates him. He murdered. He was like Stalin with his collectivos. Like they were bad.
Not going to bat for Maduro at all. Not at all a defense of Maduro. More just like a foreign interference of that degree. Which, absolutely, getting rid of a dictator. But then you can look at the way he's cozied up to guys like Putin like that. Does he actually care about dictatorship, or how much of it is the oil that they can get, the money they can get from oil? You know what I mean? Like that is a fear I would have personally if Alberta was to separate. And if that's not a fear to you, that's fine. I was just curious your thoughts.
No, well, I guess I would be pissed off if Trump swooped in and took Daniel Smith out. Okay, so we can agree on that, right?
Sure.
But I don't, in my heart of hearts, worry about the United States or Trump taking us over. I think that the CBC likes to spin that, and it works because it gets people all excited, and then that's why they voted for Carney, because Trump made one statement about wanting to be a 51st state, and then all of a sudden all the people just jumped on board and they voted Carney in. It's a brilliant political strategy. Get everybody afraid of the states. Vote for me.
So do you think Trump's talk about 51st state, that's nothing to be worried about at all?
Well, let's just be real here.
I want to get to that answer because that'll be an interesting answer. But this ChatGPT, some accounts linked to protest organizers or people closely associated with the demonstration were frozen. These included accounts with large sums. Banks also froze at least a couple of personal accounts. But again, this ChatGPT, but it says some accounts tied to organizers or significant supporters were frozen. No confirmed documented case of the government seizing ordinary donors' bank accounts solely for donating. While it was legally possible to freeze an individual's account after a donation, authorities said this was unlikely to happen to small donors. I don't know. Okay.
In order for that to happen, they would need a supermajority.
Right.
The Democrats would have to get on board. They wouldn't get on board unless they could bring in Puerto Rico or Washington, D.C. So, like, in the land of, let's make things up and talk about it, sure. Maybe we could imagine something, but it's just not even possible. There's no way we're going to be a 51st state. The Americans wouldn't want it to happen.
Right. I would say, from my vantage point, it does seem like Trump's disregarding a lot of checks and balances. So it does, again, it's just a fear of mine. Of course, don't have the foresight to be like, this is what's going to happen. It is a paranoia of mine. But again, to hear if it's not.
Yeah, the Democrats would never go for that.
Not for you. That's all totally valid.
Yeah.
We're all entitled to our own opinions on this, right?
Well, and I'm curious because I don't like to talk too much about the Americans on this channel, but I'll entertain it. What checks and balances do you think Trump is not following?
Oh, turn it on the guy. Shout out John. That was a great chess move.
Give me one good one, or maybe 2 or 3 good ones.
I mean, if you look at how much they've delayed, taken, and redacted from the Epstein files, which has been ordered by Congress.
Is that a check and balance?
Okay, so yeah, I think a lot of Trump supporters are pissed off about that because they wanted to see everything.
Not a bad answer by the guy, though.
Across the board,
shout out to John for flipping it around. That was great.
Feels like that's something people should be mad about. We're talking about children being abused, and
Is that really a check and a balance? Is that going against the wishes of Congress? I don't know. I don't know if that really fits the question, but
they're Democrats or Republicans, I don't care about. I would just love to see bad people be held.
I guess from a leftist point of view, maybe you could say, oh, well, Trump taking out Maduro, you should have an active Congress, even though there is, I don't agree with that, by the way. There is precedent for that, what happened before in Panama, but I guess a lefty could maybe say that.
Accountable.
Right. Okay, you got me. I wish that all the Epstein files were,
and this isn't a matter of trying to get you, it's just a conversation. That's probably good, right?
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for chatting.
Well, thank you so much.
Your YouTube channel? Yeah.
My YouTube channel is Talking to Albertans.
Talking to Albertans?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that Talking to Albertans. Yeah.
Great. All right, and sorry, what was your name again?
My name's John.
I don't have a channel. I'm just conducting these. Henry, John, nice meeting you, dude.
Well, okay, how can I find this interview? I'd be like,
This is just like preliminary stuff that we're going to be sending back to the production just to get a sense of, get a finger on the pulse of everything. So this isn't going to necessarily be used in the documentary.
We won't be publishing.
But we can also reach out to you. We can also reach out to you on your channel if we do a follow-up or something.
I think we might actually want to involve you in the film once we start filming with real cameras.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Hey, you guys treated me fair, so I'm definitely interested.
Right on, man.
Is there a real documentary? What the heck's happening here?
Appreciate the discourse.
Hey,
truly.
God bless you, and
likewise,
thank
man.
you for the fair
Cheers,
conversation.
dude. Take care.
Hey, Alberta Patriots. How's it going? Can I ask you guys a few questions? No, not for the camera. Okay. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video right here. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm sorry I had to cut a few times here because my camera did die. And but anyway, please like.
I think I'm going to end the stream too. I will probably go live a little bit later. I'll just finish off with some chats. Dude seems okay. Don Cherry is a legend. I agree. I miss him on hockey night. Man, Don Cherry was the best. It's so crazy how he got canceled. Like that is probably the softest cancellation to an A-list person that I can remember. What could be worse than that? There's probably an example of somebody getting canceled for less, but not such a prominent person like Don Cherry.
Hockey night in Canada since 1982. In Detroit, we've been able to tune in and watch Coach's Corner. Cherry's message about Canadian immigrants over the weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Jordan Peterson eventually left Toronto, I think. Has a house in Scottsdale. Because, man, he would have had a tough time in Toronto. Toronto is so woke.
Has him out of a job today.
You people love you that come here, whatever it is. You love our way of life. You love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that. These guys pay.
Sportsnet called those comments directed at immigrants divisive and not in line with the values of the company. Sportsnet then apologized over the weekend. Host Rob McLean apologized as well, but the 82-year-old Cherry met with his bosses, and the company said it is the right time for him to step down.
That's so crazy, man. I don't want Alberta. Yeah, I saw that sick. That's crazy, man. Holy. Yeah, that's so brutal, dude. Venezuela. As an American, they seized the $50 that I don't. Really? Holy shit, dude. Yeah, man. That guy in that street interview, you never know how it's going to get chopped up. He seemed friendly and was doing the whole, oh, we got to talk to each other stuff. But I've seen people burn conservatives like that before. But I mean, I think you got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt if you don't even know who he is. Alberta will never, there aren't, yeah, exactly. USA. Carney and Freeland okayed the frozen bank accounts. Yeah. Yeah, dude, you're right. It's a big negotiation. It totally is. It totally is. I've talked about that a lot on my channel too. Like the if the left mercy. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day. I guess I got some more. Hey Tommy, what's up, man? I was on. Oh, you were. Tommy. Shout out Tommy. Let's see where Tommy is here. Sylvan Lake. Which one? There's two.
Well, thank you so much.
Is this a guy in the chat? I feel like this face to me looks familiar.
So much. Thought I'd try to rally up a few people, but we got lost, and it's totally not my organization abilities that will win this. But
you know what's going to win this? Boots on the ground.
Has this guy been in the chat here on our stream?
Boots on the ground.
That's what's going to win
You
this.
are.
You got some nice boots there, I see.
Well, I'm standing on the snow, so it's all day, so I need it to be nice and toasty warm.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you get to your canvassing, but thank you so much. Because I recognize when you're canvassing, I'm not allowed to like talk to you too much, am I?
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I just saw that just now, and so.
Those are the bills. What I did was I took.
Well, yeah.
Hey, there's Tommy. What's up, Tommy? There we go.
You're interviewing me. Let's interview each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you broadcasting this?
Canadian News Now. I'm Tommy Tepper.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I didn't realize it was Canadian News Now. That's your brand.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my Facebook groups.
Okay, good. Okay.
So that, you know, when I walk up to Lefty, they go, "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, well, Canadian News Now." I'm centrist, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have to get your personal info here after we shut down the stream, and we'll collab a little bit there later. That'll be good.
Okay, well, that's a good little clip then for me. I'm going to end this video. Do you want one more good thing for the camera you want to say on my end?
Yeah, well, I just signed up. I was like not signing for the longest time, waiting for the opportune time. So it came today. We went on the convoy from Red Deer to here, and I met up with my good friend Pat King. I don't know if you know him, but he's down here with the.
Wait, where is he?
I like the shades, Tommy.
Here right now?
He was, yeah. He was. He grabbed onto my camera. I don't know where he went. But he was with the original convoy to Ottawa.
Yeah.
But
I think we have the same gimbal. Mine just dark gray.
He was down here and he signed up. So yeah, it was kind of an epic day here today. That lots of stuff is happening, and
So you can't go back home.
we think it's pretty cool. I think we're gonna have some independence. Let's have a better Alberta for everyone.
Yeah, that's just it. It's for everyone, right? Everyone get involved in this movement. Do the best you can to help support this cause. We want to build a country that represents our values and that benefits all of us. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We want to work hard, and now is not the time to let off on the gas. If you support Alberta independence and you've already signed, go become a canvasser so you can collect 5 or 6 more signatures. Every little bit counts.
That's right. And just remember, it's not just for us, but it's for our children.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
And I'm on another camera.
Okay, now I'm actually going to end the stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day.